As you know that we are having this press conference in respect of the e-ticketing that has become compulsory from the 1st of October, which was yesterday. It was launched officially by the Honourable Prime Minister. There has been approximately 600,000 e-ticketing cards that have been issued, of which about 380,000 of those cards pertain to adults, that is non-school children and also people who are on social welfare. So the 380,000 cards have been issued to adults who are paying full fare. We have, of course, as you know, had some complaints that have been raised, both through the media. Some of you we've spoken to individually, and others have, of course, raised it through various other means. We have received, LTA also has received some complaints today, and if we're able to aggregate all of these complaints, we're probably looking at about 100 complaints we received. So as a percentage of the cards that I already issued, you're looking at about 0.03% complaints from the number of people that actually have been issued cards with. Of course, that does not in any way diminish the validity or the credibility of the claims that and the allegations of non-performance in various ways that we have received. And of course, as we've got together with the LTA, the CEO of LTA is here with us, the Fiji Bus Operators Association, and Vodafone is also here with us, to see how we can actually iron out some of these issues, some of the teething issues, what we call the pains of sort of this new initiative. Before I go into some of the specific complaints that we have received, we'd also like to say that we want to thank very much all these Fijians who've actually registered with e-ticketing. Like we said, 380,000 Fijians who've registered, and then we, of course, if you add on the school children, you're looking at about 600,000 Fijians currently hold a card. So we'd like to thank them for it. And a lot of them, of course, have been very excited about the new advent of the new technology and the usage of that. And as we highlighted yesterday at the launch, that the opportunities in implementing e-ticketing and how it can tie up with not just financial inclusion, but in respect of creating financial systems that are modern and attractive is actually quite enormous. We have, of course, as you know, received complaints about some buses this morning, in particular in the Suva corridor, not picking up passengers along the way. People have complained that some buses have sort of driven past them half filled. We have received complaints about one particular complaint about how a passenger had been charged more than what he should have paid. We have had also issues about some bus companies not running or servicing the route at that specific time. And they were sort of the general gist of the complaints that we have received. And the other one, of course, some people have said that they have paid more than what they usually pay. Let me address all of these, but let me also tell you, before I actually address them specifically, is that there have, of course, been some people who have been opposed to e-ticketing, in particular people who benefit from a system that actually is not transparent. As you know, that one of the reasons why we have included e-ticketing is to create a higher level of transparency within the economy and also in terms of accountability. There have been some bus companies, of course, 2 or 3 probably specifically, that in fact did not have their buses fitted with machines as late as Saturday. When they knew that, of course, the law would be adhered to, Vodafone's team was running around late on Saturday night to actually make sure that their buses actually get fitted with these machines. So some bus companies have therefore been slow in the implementation, as a result of which their drivers have not received the appropriate training. So some of the mistakes we have seen, for example, have emanated from the fact that these bus companies have not trained their drivers in these machines, which they should have. We had an agreement with the Fiji Bus Operators Association. As you know, that the law, when it came into effect, this law was drafted about 3 years ago. Most people knew exactly what the law actually entailed, what were the penalties, what are the provisions, what were the requirements, and what was, of course, going to be the technology. And as you can see, that the law is very much in favor of the consumer. There is a number of clauses that actually gives a lot of redress, almost immediate redress to the traveling public. So, for example, if I get on a bus and the machine is not working, it's not my problem. I have to be let onto the bus for free. It's within the law. If, for example, I have actually got into the bus and the card is not working, there's a fault with the card, I should get onto the bus for free. All these provisions have been built in. Now, unfortunately, some of these bus companies, because they put on the machines late, they have not given the drivers enough training. We had one complaint where a particular person got on, and as you know, you have to press the stage. Instead of pressing stage 2, the driver mistakenly pressed 22. So the person got charged for stage 22, which is obviously a bit more than what you pay for stage 2. So that person, we understand, has been reimbursed their funds, that money. And as we've said to the bus company, that they need to immediately provide redress to those traveling passengers. We've agreed also in this meeting, the Bus Operators Association will also go back and tell all the members that every single bus must have a number that the passenger can actually ring up, the company number that they can call up, a mobile number, where they can immediately get any redress, or should they have any complaints that may relate directly to the bus company itself. We've had also, Vodafone has also confirmed when they have fitted some bus companies with machines, 40 machines have been tampered with and damaged. So overnight, when some of these buses have been parked, when they've come back in the morning, 40 machines actually have been damaged. So there are people who've gone out actually deliberately damaging physically these machines. We've had one bus company that actually complained to us yesterday that the fuse, the bus drivers actually take out the fuse, so bus drivers, whoever it is that's doing that, and therefore the machines weren't working. So there has been opportunities being created by people to actually try and sabotage this e-ticketing process that we put in place. The other issue, of course, is that this bus fare rounding. As you know that when you have cash, because Fiji no longer has 1 cent or 2 cent, if you have to pay 68 cents anyway, even if you buy one Chinese lolly for 68 cents, you don't actually pay 68 cents, you'll pay 70 cents because you round it up to the nearest full amount. So we saw one complaint that was sent to us by somebody in the social media saying that they used to pay $1.10. Now they're paying $1.11. But what they actually forgot to mention also, that for stage 1 they used to pay 70 cents, but now you pay 68 cents, because before 68 was rounded up to 70 cents. Now $1.11 is rounded up to, sorry, $1.11 was rounded down to $1.10. Now, of course, you pay $1.11. We also have some stage 4. Stage 4 fare, before, when we say before e-ticketing, they were being charged $1.90. But in fact, the actual fare for stage 4 is $1.84. So they're saving 6 cents. So these people who are actually commenting on negatively have not actually caught that. So that's one issue, of course. But the Vodafone and, of course, the bus operators have agreed that Vodafone will facilitate more driver trainings. We've suggested as government that perhaps on a Sunday we can get a lot of drivers together in different centers to have further training for the drivers. Vodafone has also agreed that from tomorrow at all the major bus stands they'll have their staff there, at least 4 or 5 of the staff. Should there be any teething issues, should the machines not work, they can immediately provide the remedy or provide that particular technological solution should there be any problems with that. We've also said that, and the bus operators will do that and so will Vodafone, that more disposable cards will also be available for the passengers. So people can obviously buy those cards on the buses themselves. So sometimes people are a bit apprehensive about using new technology. Somebody who maybe have been paying for their bus travel always cash for the past 20 years, and now they have to use a card. Sometimes people get a bit apprehensive about it. So rather than perhaps registering, they may not have done so. So they can actually start off by using a disposable card. And as you know, there's been a lot of rumors around the value on the card. As we've said, that you'll see the frequently asked questions. There's been published in the paper today that should you have any monetary value left, even on your disposable card, you can actually redeem it. So even if you have 5 cents left, please don't try and get 1 cent, but if you have 5 cents left, you'll actually get that 5 cents back from the card. You can redeem it from whichever outlet that actually does do that. However, Vodafone has agreed to provide that on-site assistance to the bus companies and the bus drivers. Also, there's been issues about Vodafone ensuring that there'll be enough staff available to do precisely that. The LTA, of course, we've spoken to LTA, as you know, under the various provisions of the license. You have to actually adhere to your route. There are certain times that a bus company, it will state specifically in a route license that you have to leave the bus stand at this time, and you have to be in Nambora at this particular time, whatever the case may be, or you have to be in Korovo, or you have to be in Navua at this particular time. Bus companies need to adhere to that. So LTA, of course, will now ensure that bus companies actually do adhere to that. If they don't, then LTA, of course, can issue a notice to them. The LTA will give the permit holder the opportunity to be heard as to why have they not adhered to the bus routes. We've been informed that some bus companies, the drivers, when the days when they could charge cash, they were running their routes without any timetable. In fact, sometimes the bus drivers were running probably 15 times when they're supposed to run only 8 times, because it was lucrative for them to do so, not necessarily actually adhering to the timetable and maybe eating into the route of the other operator. These are some of the shenanigans that actually went on. So the LTA, of course, will be very closely monitoring that. The CEO and his team have been out there together working with the police to make sure that the bus companies are actually doing the right thing. We also would like to again highlight to you, and through the media also, that we see the media as an important partner, in particular in the public education. Should any driver not adhere to what has already been stated publicly in respect of not putting passengers out or not carrying passengers, you immediately must report the matter to us. As you know, there's also a penalty on the driver should they not adhere to those rules. There's a $50 fine, and then subsequently they can be charged up to $500, the bus drivers themselves. Of course, we believe that the bus companies need to ensure that the bus drivers also do the right thing, because they are also vicariously responsible for that. However, there may be instances where bus drivers deliberately do that, even though the bus companies have given them all the training. Some of them are actually probably being quite mischievous about it. We've had, just to highlight some of the issues, we've had a bus company yesterday that said to us that 5 of their drivers said we're not going to actually, drive anymore, because they no longer will be unaccountable for their takings. So there are some challenges, of course, faced by the bus companies in that respect. We've also had discussions with the Solicitor General's office and the CEO of LTA, to look at the regulations and how we can make it a lot more streamlined for people to become also bus drivers, to be able to get the Class 5 license, So there's obviously employment opportunities there too. So these are some of the changes, of course, that will be carried out. And we are glad that some of these teething issues actually have been kept to a minimum, but more so also that the bus operators and Vodafone and LTA are working together to ensure that this very important initiative, ladies and gentlemen, it is very important for our country to modernize, very important for us to be able to get the proper financial systems in place, is actually implemented and adhered to. The other point that I also want to make is that e-ticketing also, on the other side, does provide fantastic level of data and analysis for organizations like LTA, not just for FERCA, but also for the bus operators themselves. So, for example, we will get to know, as you know, that certain routes now, you see people falling out of the windows and out of the doorstep. There's just too many people on that particular route. Why? Because the population in that area has increased. With e-ticketing, the bus companies can know by the end of the day, and you can also get live information as to how many people are actually sitting on the bus. LTA will also know. The Minister for Transport will know, so they can actually then do proper planning. They can probably then say, look, we need more routes on this particular area. We need to increase the frequency of the bus, running in this area. It gives fantastic data for that. Of course, it gives FERCA data too in respect to the revenue takings. But that's just another element of it. So in terms of national planning, in terms of setting in place policies, both for LTA and also for government as a whole, and together working with the bus operators, the e-ticketing provides a number of other solutions. So with those few remarks, if I have not missed out anything, have I? Okay, so we would like to, of course, seek your assistance in spreading the good information. As you know, that news is not only about bad news, there's also good news too. And there are many, many good stories that people have received. A lot of people are very grateful in respect of what has happened. And we look to overall, from a government perspective, as we said yesterday, improve the quality of public transportation in Fiji. And lastly, but not least, I would also like to say that this week we'll also be announcing, as you know, that in the budget we had announced, as also in the frequently asked questions sheet that you've seen, government is putting in place an independent committee to look at the actual bus fares themselves, the amount of bus fares being charged, with a view to see how we can bring about some competitive pricing in bus fares amounts at the moment. We believe that there's ample opportunity for some reduction in bus fares, but of course we need to do it in a proper manner. We need to do it in a commercial manner. It needs to be something that's palatable both for the bus operators, the traveling public, and also all the other stakeholders, to see how we can actually sharpen this area. And we've done this obviously with that view in mind, as announced in the 2017-2018 budget. We're looking at some independent people to be on this committee. Of course, representation from the bus operators will also be there. And that, of course, can and is only being done because of e-ticketing. And this is precisely the reason why we're saying e-ticketing. While some people may see only the negative up to their noses in the next couple of days, for the long term, of course, as with many other policies that both the Bainimarama government and the Fiji First government has announced, these policies are actually for the betterment of all Fijians. So thank you very much. We'd like to open up the floor for any questions. Thank you.